Hello, I'm Miss Patel, Head of Maths, and welcome to the Maths presentation for the Year 9 options for GCSE. Although a compulsory subject, we want to provide students with a rewarding experience of maths. We prepare them to become confident and numerate individuals, to develop their transferable skills which they can apply in all aspects of their adult life. These show our results for the past 6 years of the reformed specification. As you can see, they're very consistently good. We're above national in our results each year. We do aim high, and we hope obviously to improve each year so that more than 3/4 of our students gain that standard grade 4 pass or more. As you can see, the grade 4 or 9 to 4 is between 75 and 77%, 81% in 2021, that was our teacher assessed grades. Although actually we did feel that the students deserved that, and we are not far off in 2022 where students were sitting again after the pandemic and got those grades in their own right, sitting the exams in the normal way. We follow the Edexcel course. This is the most widely followed course of all the awarding bodies in the UK. The aims and objectives start with students being able to understand methods, state facts and properties of mathematical areas. Being able to identify mathematical concepts is required to solve a problem, and that's a more advanced skill. It leads on to being able to reason and draw conclusions and evaluate concepts, sometimes with a short sentence as a reason for their decisions. And being able to answer these questions will lead to the higher grades, both in foundation and higher tiers. The topic areas are broken down into 6 strands, and I've listed them here in the order of the most prevalent in the exams. So there'll be more questions on number and ratio and proportion rates of change than on algebra, rather than geometry, statistics and probability, which still feature but have fewer questions on the exams. However, all strands will be tested in the final exams, and roughly the same percentage of questions from each strand will occur. Here I've given you the course outline, so you're aware, I hope, that 2 tiers are available, foundation and higher, and that each tier has 3 equally weighted papers. So there is parity between the tiers, 3 papers, 1 non-calculator, 2 calculator, all of the same length, 1 hour 30 minutes each. And again, each paper has the same amount of marks, whether it's foundation or higher, and all 3 papers in each tier have the same amount of marks, which is 80. So you can see also that the foundation tier goes up to grade 5, 1 to 5, and the higher tier has grades 4 to 9. And I say 4 to 9, if a student takes the higher tier and they just miss that grade 4 by 1 or 2 marks, they may be awarded a grade 3, but any more, if they drop below, they go straight to a U. So there isn't a grade 1 and 2 and 3 on the higher tier, unless it's just within a couple of marks of the 4, and then a grade 3 may be awarded. This is why it's so important to take the right tier of entry. Some students who don't necessarily find maths easy but work hard can find themselves taking the higher paper because they are consistently achieving at least the minimum required marks. But it's essential for those who are on the cusp of that 4-5 grade boundary to think very carefully and take advice from their teachers about the most appropriate tier of entry. Your young people will be setted for Year 10, either for the higher or the foundation class. And a note to make on the names of the classes is that for foundation, we're not setting within the foundation tier for prior attainment. We mix it up. So if a student is in my set, for instance, they will be in 10 MA6, and that's because my classroom is MA6, not because they are in the 6th set. So sometimes students have that misconception because at one point we did set, so I don't want that to be a mix-up and people think that they're setted. It's literally our classroom names. Movement between the tiers can still happen during Year 10 and even into the first year term of Year 11, but we do try and get it right the first time because we want students to be clear about that pathway that they're on, to avoid any disruptions and to avoid any unit work that might be missed because the foundation and higher tiers do diverge quite a bit, especially in Year 11. So different things are taught. Students will be given their target grades. It's important to note that we aspire to support students to exceed these. Target grade is a guideline. It's called target, but actually we'd love it if students could exceed their grade. Most students, as you've seen from our past results, do achieve at least their target grade. And note that if a student gains a 4 or above, you probably know this already, but they will not be required to sit maths post 16 unless they need more than a 4 for the course that they've applied for. We offer further maths as an additional qualification to GCSE maths to students taking the higher tier at GCSE, and they will start the course in Year 11. I'm just mentioning it now because some of you may be thinking about it. Some students might be aware already and be thinking about A-levels and what they want to take. And this course is a very good bridging course between GCSE and A-level, so it extends a lot of the algebra and those concepts that are needed for A-level. It's usually timetabled for period 6. I say usually because every year we do look at the timetable and it may well get onto the main school timetable, but because we only do this lesson once a week, so they have 2 lessons a fortnight, it's traditionally been a period 6. So once we get to the end of Year 10 and we start selecting students for a trial for the Level 2 certificate in further maths, we'll write to you and ask your permission that they can attend a period 6, and we have a taster session during the summer term of Year 10 so that the students can find out what the course is about, whether or not it would suit them, especially if they are aspiring to take A-level maths. This doesn't have to be taken. You can go on to A-level maths without taking this course, but we recognise that it's quite useful for students who do want to extend maths into their A-levels or beyond 16. So what can you do to help? Well, check that students are completing homework and that they understand what's being asked of them. It's important for them to feel positive and motivated, so contact the class teacher if you think they're struggling. We don't want them to struggle, we don't want to let that happen. We want your young people to get the grade they need and deserve. But engagement in class is so important, so is homework. It's the time where, homework particularly, they can sit and test themselves. I don't mean in test conditions, but what I mean is away from the support of the teacher and their peers. And they're thinking, what can I remember, what can I recall? Because they've got to do that in an exam for themselves. So homework is almost like a sort of a mini what can I remember on my own. We obviously don't want them to do their homework on their own if they are struggling. We want them to ask for help, use videos on Dr. Frost, use older siblings or yourselves to help them, and of course come and see us if they are struggling. But that engagement in homework and classwork is so important. Our curriculum is cyclical, meaning we teach lots of small topics. They repeat, and so hopefully as the years go on, we are helping knowledge to get into the students' long-term memory. That's why we do lots of short, sharp topics. Some last longer than others, and they are on repeat. If a student's not engaging early on in these topics, then they run the risk of finding the same topic areas difficult later on. And although we put in support and interventions, we differentiate in lessons, we don't assume knowledge has been retained, and we always do recall activities. We need them to engage in the first place in order to have that confidence and develop. So please do support with classwork, engagement in terms of sort of asking them where they're at, as well as the homework that we set. Stationery, that's so important as well. Please make sure that they've got a scientific calculator. If they bring their calculator to school, which we really do expect, it's part of the expected stationery, we can show them how to use it, because there are 2 calculator papers. So and we obviously, I know that they can use phones in real life, but they're not allowed them in an exam, so we need them to be able to use their calculators proficiently. And also they may want to use a calculator in real life. I mean, I suppose I do my budget sometimes and don't use my phone. I'll use a calculator because I've got one to hand. The other thing that's really important is times table skills. It is the first barrier. If you are not very good at times tables, then that means that you're going to find even sort of getting off the first base, as it were, with a question quite difficult. You might know what to do, but the fact that you've got to write your times tables down the side of your book or your paper, it just slows things up. It's not wrong to write your times tables out, but if you know them confidently, then that's one less barrier to get over when you're actually deciphering what a question's asking you to do. So times tables practice is really good to do at home. Use lots of online resources, and we've got we've got that, and I've put that on the next slide for you to see the sort of the most common websites that we use. There are textbooks available as well, and revision guides, which I come to in a minute. And we can order revision guides for you. In Year 10, when we have a settling in evening, we take orders, and we can actually buy them a little cheaper than you can get them in the shops. But don't wait for us if you want to buy one. You know, they're out there in all the bookshops and on Amazon and what have you. Here are the most commonly used websites in the maths faculty. Of course, you'll have heard of Dr. Frost, which is our homework platform. You may have heard of Maths and Numeracy Workout. They're sister sites, and they have a lot of mixed activities and drills for practice, so really nice. And sometimes on their slides they'll have a little bit of how-to at the beginning of an activity as well. Some need a username and password, like Dr. Frost and Maths and Numeracy Workout. Others you can just access, and there are lots of videos, worksheets, exam questions with the answers as well. So really good to you know, get into the habit of using these sites. Just thought I'd show you our price list for stationery. So we do have a stock of stationery that we sell for students who maybe, you know, their pens just run out, or they've broken a protractor or something. Calculators as well. We may have to revise the costs a little bit with inflation, but we try and keep them as low as possible. And of course, we sell at cost. We don't put anything, any profit on here. We know we can buy in bulk and buy things more reasonably and have them to hand when student need them. Also, revision guides there. You've got this year's prices of £3.15, but again, it depends what CGP are selling them for, or what offers they are giving us at the time, so that could change. That's just what we're selling for at the moment. So these posters are up around the maths department, and students can ask their teacher if they want to buy some stationery. Sometimes we've run out of revision guides and we put a new order in, and as I said on a previous slide, we do specifically ask in Year 10 for orders for that in our settling in evening in September time. Just a quick note, these revision guides came out new this last year, so it's complete revision and practice. The CGP used to sell, and they still do sell, separate revision guides and workbooks, but this is all in one and has some online links as well, so that students get a separate code at in the front of each book, which they then can use to log into the site. At the moment, they're about £6 that we can sell them for. Again, we will make them available to you in early Year 10, so that if you choose to have either the simpler revision guide or this complete one, then you can order it through us if you so wish. But they are available online anyway for you. So I hope that I've answered some of the questions that you might have regarding the study of maths. You can contact the maths team on any of our emails. Mine is up here on the screen for more information. Of course, there'll always be a chance to talk to your child's maths teacher at the parents' evening after half term, so please, save any questions for your teachers then as well. And I look forward to continuing to teach your young people when they arrive with us in September for Year 10, and of course continue to teach them in Year 9. Thanks for listening, everyone.